try this again. We back. Can you guys hear me out of both ears? Can you hear me from both sides of your head? Is the audio bad? Weird fan or air noise? Uh-oh. Yep. Yeah, yep. What? I don't know yet. I'm on phone speaker. Okay. I'm sorry, guys. Never buy a freaking Google Pixel 6 Pro. They are not good. Weird noise. Okay, shoot. Can hear fan. There's no fan running. Well, I do have this one running. Alright, what about now? Any noise? It's been decent, but no, there's no AC. It's this stupid, it's the cable on this phone. Maybe that'll fix it. Hurricane vibes. Wind noise. Damn. Oh no. LOL fixed. Did I fix it? Did I fix it? I fixed it! Alright. Oh my god. Okay. Okay. Tell me if it comes back. This phone has been rebuilt like a bunch of times. Anyway, I've taken it apart and I put it back together like at least 10 times. I mean, I've had everything out of it. And, yeah, it's got some small issues, but dude, okay. Pixel 6 Pro, okay, it's a good phone, but the camera sucks. It overheats, its focus is shit, it's got bad macro, alright. Xiaomi Poco X3 NFC, dude, this thing is awesome. The freaking camera could run for kind of there, but a lot better. Okay, yeah, freaking, anyway, the Xiaomi, dude, it's like, this phone is so much better, dude. The autofocus is way better, the clarity is better. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. And this camera can go forever without overheating. But yeah, so okay, so here is the Shure tape. So if you guys saw earlier, we have the Shure tape. This is the Tape Pro. I already took apart the other side. This is a legit, from what I know, this is legit. Isn't the OS? Dude, the OS was great for me. The OS actually had less bugs than the Google Pixel 6 Pro. But I mean, that's just my personal experience. I mean, you know, yours could be different, but yeah, I mean, the Xiaomi has been awesome. The software has had plenty of updates. Software experience has been great. Just, yeah, I really like this phone a lot. I was going to get another Xiaomi, but the Google Pixel is just so cheap. I was like, well, maybe I'll just get the Google Pixel. Yeah, I can do Kanoka next. Let me, sorry, I'm kind of half doing this looking in the camera, and then the other half is like looking around the corner. There we go. Alright. Well, kind of tore up the driver a little bit. But whatever. I already have a bunch of these. But so this is like the first of the DD stat drivers. Okay. So this is a 10 millimeter dynamic driver, and then it's got a magnetostat. They shower or shore or whatever they used to call it an electrostatic driver, but we all know, yeah, I'll crack it open. But we all know that it's not true electrostatic. It really has nothing to do with electrostatic. But yeah, you can just barely make out the metal diaphragm inside. But this was the technology that KZ was using a while back for their ZEX and their ZEX Pro and all that. But yeah, essentially it's just two drivers slapped together. You have your 10 millimeter dynamic on the bottom, and then you have a 6 millimeter magnetostat on top. And then you have just a little frequency divider on the back here. Now, the reason why there are terminals on both sides, the magnetostat, the way it operates is it has to drive a coil on either side of this little diaphragm inside. So that's why there's black goo on either side of the driver, and that's why there are two terminals on either side of the driver. So one side's going to the back of the coil, and then the other side's going to the top coil. And noise is back. No! Oh man. I'm gonna try flicking it. Maybe I can maybe I can beat the noise out of it. I don't know, but anyway, so this is the. Remember, everyone dumped the magnetostat in like 2 months. I know, man. Streaming problems are real. If it continues, I'm just gonna give up. Because I honestly, the reason why I stopped doing the stream with the other device is because it was overheating, and it will honestly like stop without giving me any notice. So like it'll just stop streaming. Got no Bluetooth mic? No, I don't have a Bluetooth mic. Eventually I'll invest in some more equipment, but like I said, I'm not big into streaming. I'm not even really big into making videos. I do this stuff for my own enjoyment, and I just kind of make videos on the side. So anyway, so here's our diaphragm. There we go. So there's our diaphragm. Let me actually, maybe I can, yeah. Oops. Sorry, the zoom's a bit uncontrollable in the YouTube app while you're streaming. But yeah, so there's the diaphragm. I'm not sure what kind of diaphragm it is. No, there's no PU in here. There's no polyurethane. This is either straight PET, or maybe Mylar. One or the other. But and then this is the magnetostat on top. At least this is part of the coil. So you can see there's like a PCB on the back, and then it's got one of the coils attached to the front, and then there is a permanent magnet for both sides. So you have a permanent magnet, then you have the diaphragm in the middle. See, in the middle you have the diaphragm, and then you have another permanent magnet on top of that. And then you have a, come on. And then you have another coil on top. Yeah, I know, sorry guys, if the noise gets really bad, I'm just gonna stop streaming, because these devices suck. Yeah, this is literally the diaphragm. This is what you hear. Now KZ, they have gone through and they have redesigned it and made it a little bit better. But this is the diaphragm that you hear. And I mean, you can see how solid it is. Now, I in my video on the Phoenix call, so I did a video on the Phoenix call, and you know, I talked about the different types of tweeter technologies, and the magnetostats that I measured. The one that I measured was a KZ, And I mean, it actually was a really good driver. But just in comparison, this is the, whoops, sorry, there's some hair there. But just in comparison, this is the Canera driver that they're using in their FPD. Yeah, so there's the FPD driver. All right. Yeah, it's probably gonna come back and go and come back and go and come back and go. Eventually, I'll fix it. Eventually, I'll fix it. All right. So, so let's do Kanoka real quick. We'll take a look at Kanoka, and we'll see what's going on in the Kanoka suite. The Canera, yeah, that's not MStat. That's the flat panel driver. So obviously, it's the principle's a little different. I mean, you can see. Well, it's kind of hard to see, but so there's the Canera diaphragm next to. So there's the Canera diaphragm next to the MStat diaphragm, and the thickness. You know, you're talking. Well, there you go. Here it is. The thickness of the two is quite different. So, but anyway, yeah, the Canera one is much thinner, much more lightweight, and it's like a metallized PET or membrane or whatever. So anyway, so the Kanoka, these have kind of like channel imbalance issues. I've seen not just mine, but a couple other people, I guess, have had channel imbalances. So be careful if you buy these. I mean, I know they are cheap, but they do have some channel imbalance issues. These are the vibration speakers here, and I put dampeners on top and dampeners on the back too, and that seemed to help a lot with the sound. You don't necessarily have to do that. You can look at my tips video if you haven't already seen it, but it goes into basically how to maximize the effect of the bone conduction or whatever, and you know, essentially it's just a few tips just to get you situated. So, but we will take this apart now. I'm not gonna save these at all. I'm just gonna open them right up. So we got a little switch unit here. There's a little switch unit. And then our 10mm speaker. No, it is different than the Fur Audio. The Fur Audio unit is actually literally like a speaker. And it basically faces directly into the ear, fires directly into the ear. This is an actual bone conduction speaker. So this is like something that you'd have in an actual like bone conduction earphone. Let me see if I can zoom out a little bit more. Yeah, there we go. That'll probably help fix the focus. But anyway, yeah, so this is like an actual bone conduction speaker. Sonian bone conductors? No. I do know what you're talking about though, but no, I do not. I want to try to get a pair. But no, I do not have any of the Sonian bone conductor. Oh, come on. Why is the focus misbehaving now? Here, I'm sorry. I'm gonna. The Sonian ones. You got IEMs with the Sonian bone conduction in there. Yeah, the ones from Fur Audio, they're not. It's not true. It's not bone conduction. It's literally just a speaker that plays directly into your eardrum. It has very little to do with bone conduction, actually. But yeah, essentially they just took a 10mm speaker, and then they just kind of made a hole in the front of the IEM, and the speaker just plays directly into the ear. But yeah, so this is the speaker unit, or the bone conducting unit. Autumn or winter, that's a totally different thing too. I see BQEYZ, their thing is they have piezo, so they're using piezo to vibrate, and I have no idea how that works. So if anybody's got a broken BQEYZ earphone that they want to donate to science, I would love to figure out exactly what they're doing. But they're using some sort of piezo, quote unquote, bone conduction. It's not like this stuff. So this is like, essentially there's a coil underneath, and there's a couple magnets and stuff, and there's a flat plate here, and there's like a spring that goes around it, and there's like 3 points where it connects to this plastic frame here, and essentially it just bounces up and down. It's not a real diaphragm, but it shares. Come on. Oh my god, stay focused, you fuck. But yeah, it essentially bounces up and down. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It's like a speaker, but without a diaphragm. Instead, it's just a metal plate, and there's like these little tines inside that kind of reach out and touch the edge to kind of suspend it. But yeah, that's all it is. And it's the mass, the weight of the unit itself that conducts the vibration, because you have to have some sort of mass in order to induce a vibration into another medium. If you don't have that amount of mass, it's never going to communicate. But you can use a speaker, but it's basically, it just uses sound. It doesn't use vibration as much. There's not really any kind of vibration. Do I have piezo? Yes, I do have piezo. Give me 1 second. I'll find your piezo. Now, these aren't like piezo bone conduction drivers. These are just piezo speakers. Oh my goodness. I got too many drivers. There they are. All right. So essentially, this is kind of what the BQEYZ looks like. They're speakers, so they got like this plastic wrapping or whatever. Come on. So it's like a plastic shell, and then there's like a piezo disc. But yeah, this is all it is. It's just a ceramic wafer. It's just a ceramic wafer with like a metal plate behind it, and essentially it's like a crystal almost. But yeah, so you put electrical current through it, and it vibrates it. So it's the piezoelectric effect. But it's just like if you were to take a crystal and put an electrical current through it, it will vibrate, and that's essentially all piezo is it's like a ceramic disc with like some sort of copper or something. Is the ceramic hard mounted to the metal ring? Yeah, I mean, it's all sandwiched together. It's all sandwiched in one piece. It's in order to try to separate the layers, you would destroy the piezoelectric disc. But yeah. But yeah, these are big piezos. This is like a 14.5 millimeter, so it's a speaker in the back. So these are speakers in the back, and then piezo tweeters in the front. And I want to say these are like 14.5. So eventually I'll use them. I guess the drivers are also graphene. I only paid $5 for these, so they weren't expensive, but I will eventually try them out. Yeah, it's a combo with the DD. Yeah, it's not just It's not just a balanced armature. See if I can get some of this stuff out of the background. Maybe that'll help with the focus. Sorry guys, I'm trying to see if I can help with the focus. I don't know what it's focusing on. Focus is like all over the place. It was doing good for a little bit, but now it's like being lame. It's the YouTube app. This, if I use the camera app, I don't have issues with the focus, but if I use the YouTube app, the focus is like all over the place. Like, see, it just goes out of focus, and it's like, what are you focusing on? Like, it's not even focusing on anything. Dude, come on. Like, it's so annoying. But yeah, I'll eventually, I don't know, maybe I'll get a better live stream setup. I'll get a camera or something, plug it into my computer. I was looking into getting like a USB cam, and trying one of those out. But yeah, so this is the Kanoka dynamic driver we're pulling out. And I'm not being careful, I'm just destroying the driver because I honestly just want to get this taken apart. Alright, so there's the dynamic driver. Very similar to Chew. I mean, not Chew. Very similar to Hexa, Zero. What's the other one? There's a few of them, but anyway, it's that white, like LCP looking diaphragm. Now, this one might be a little bit thicker. We'll find out right now. Okay, so this is, yeah. That's so I was thinking about using the camera over USB, but I'm not going to use a phone though, because you've already seen. So my other device overheats, and this one is having trouble focusing, and it's mostly the YouTube app, so it might focus better over USB, and maybe I can even control the focus. I don't know. But I've been looking on Amazon. Come on. So yeah, so there's the LCP. This is a cheaper kind. I think this is just plastic, honestly. I don't even think this is LCP. So yeah, definitely not the same quality that's found in the Hexa or the Con or the Zero. Yeah. No, I know. I wouldn't use the YouTube app on the phone. No, I understand what you're saying. You just connect the USB-C to your computer and you can actually stream. Believe it or not, you can actually do it through Wi-Fi too. If I really wanted to, I could have like a wireless camera set up and have a AB cam and whatnot, and just have them stream to my PC. So eventually I'll do that so that way I can do like screen sharing and stuff too. But yeah, and then here's that balanced armature I was telling you guys about. This is not your traditional balanced armature that you see in CVJ IEMs. Yeah, this is electroplated. So this is that black and gold balanced armature that KZ was raving about a while back. They said, "Oh, it's so much more expensive and it's so much better than the other ones." I still haven't gotten around to testing to make sure if that is actually true. But yeah, so this is the CVJ balanced armature that they used, and it's literally the same exact one as the KZ, but just with CVJ's name on the front. Oh yeah, no, it is. This is the same exact one that KZ was bragging about. Same brand. It's E-Audio. It's got the same gold nozzle. That's why they call it the black and gold, because it's got like a black electroplated body. It's like a dark gray metallic finish, and it's got a gold nozzle, and that's literally the same exact one. Like, I could pull you out a KZBA right now, and I could show you the difference between the two. It's good. Yeah, no, it's a good BA. It's not tuned the greatest in the Kanoka. It's pretty loud. I mean, they built the Kanoka down to a cost. They built it to be as cheap as possible. So really, it's not, you know, it's not as good as it could sound. If you put some what's going on, man? 6:30 in the morning. Oh my gosh, you're up early. But yeah, so the BA could sound better if you added a little bit of dampening and you know, added, I don't know, like a better crossover or whatever, a little bit more resistance or whatnot. It would sound better. So, but yeah, welcome Paris. Welcome to sunny Florida. And I'll show you guys. I have another thing here to show you real quick. If I can find my little box here. So I have my little box, and I have, here it is. So the KZ AS16 Pro. You remember those IEMs? This is the guts to the KZ AS16 Pro, and you can see it's got the 8 balanced armatures. It's got 2 bass, 2 mids, and 4 treble. Well, anyway, none of these are that little black gold driver. These are all like the older ones, like the normal looking ones. So I'm not sure why they didn't use the gold ones, but yeah, these are the older model of balanced armatures. But yeah, KZ. I don't know if they're still continuing to use those black and gold ones because I think they might have been a little more expensive. But yeah. So anyway, let's. I'm gonna tear apart a couple more, and then I'm probably gonna end the stream just because I wish I could have used my other device. All right, so I got AS06. I got VX. I got. Oh, do you guys want to see inside the Duo? Let's look inside the Duo real quick. Let's pull the Duo apart. I'm not gonna take it fully apart, but I will crack it open because I want to see the crossover board and I want to see the back of the drivers. I'm going to test because I want to test and see exactly what's going on here. I'll have graphs up later tonight, and I'll show you guys the graphs of the individual drivers and exactly what they're doing. I saw Delta Fire. He put out a thing, but I think he only disconnected the driver and then measured it with the other driver disconnected. What I will do is I'm going to actually block the physical passages so that way you get the full sound as it was meant to be, and it's not causing any imbalances in the like impedance or whatever. Come on, bro, come on. Sorry, I'm trying to change the zoom here and it's not letting me. Maybe if I do that. Yeah, whatever. So anyways, yeah, so I'm gonna open these up real quick. So let's grab my little thing here because I would like to do some testing. I actually really like these. I think they sound good. They're empty sounding. They're like a hollow kind of tuning. They're definitely very much along the lines of like a VDSF. Oh my god, really? Go completely out of focus? Look at this. Look at this shit. Look at this fucker. Bro, come on. You're not even... There you go. Now I can zoom out. Fuck. It won't even let me zoom out. So, anyway, the YouTube app is just stupid with this focus. But anyway, yeah, so it looks like we do have 2 different drivers here. They are indeed different looking drivers. We have our relief vent there in the back. The top driver looks like the 7mm that they used in their TWS. And the bottom driver looks like the ones that they used recently in their... oh my god, dude, what are you focusing on? But yeah, the bottom driver looks like one they used in the HM20, I want to say. and like some of their other newer IEMs. Let me open up this HM20 real quick and see. Whoops. Just want to open this HM20 up. And I want to see the back of the driver. All right. Come on, focus, you fuck. Focus. Zoom in. Oh my god, you guys, I'm having so many technical issues today. This is ridiculous. Hello? There it goes. Alright. Yeah, so those look like the same driver. Because that one doesn't look like the top one. So yeah, I believe they're the same driver. So the full range driver is the same one as the HM20. It's kind of hard to see inside the shell. It's so dark in there. You can't even see inside it. But yeah, it looks like the top driver is definitely a little different. But yeah, the top one looks like it's from their TWS series. So I did a Kickstarter where I bought the driver for the S2, which was their TWS IEMs. This was back in like 2020 when the pandemic first started, and the drivers in the S2 look identical to the one on top here, and then the bottom one is definitely like some of the more recent releases they have. Like I have the Joy Audio VZ10. Here, let me open up the VZ10 real quick. I'm gonna look inside there because I'm curious if it's the same driver as they're using for some of the other ones. Oh, it's going everywhere. All right. So I got the Joy Audio. Come on. Speaking of which, KZ, man, I don't know, dude. This whole like 8 switch thing was a really bad idea. This was the worst idea because they're flipped on one side. So there's like so the switches are like right side up on one side. Come on. But they're upside down on the other side. So when you hold it like this, you have 1 2 3 4 and then you have 1 2 3 4 in completely different order. And then same on this side, 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. They're completely backwards. So when you pull them out of your ears, you know, you think you would just go, oh, okay, on, up, or whatever. But it's, I don't know, it's different. I don't know, those look the same. It's in the on position. On is down. So I don't know, maybe it's fine with these. But the other one, the 16, dude, I don't know. They're like, the one was reversed and it's a pain in the butt, but these don't look too bad. I think they might have reoriented them for the VZ10. But yeah, if you hold them this way, I mean, obviously they're different. You got 1 2 3 4 in, you know, in descending order or whatever, and then here it's in ascending order. It's different. But anyway, let's pop this open real quick. And I'm also convinced that the VZ10 is just a reimagining of the Joy Audio Shine, where they, instead of doing a 1 DD 2 BA, they just added on 2 more BAs. So like, oh, we'll just put one more treble and one more bass driver in there. Yeah, that's the same driver. So where's our... Yeah, and there's our crossover components. So yeah, I'm willing to say it's the same driver. So the Duo uses the same driver as the VZ10. Honestly, the Duo sounds so much better than this. It sounds better than the AS was it AS24 or whatever. I don't even know how to get this closed now. There we go. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it does look a little empty. I mean, the majority of it is open space. All the drivers are here, there. So there definitely is a little bit of space for the size. But yeah, I do like the Duo, man. I think the Duo is nice. It's a nice IEM. Even the what is it, the HM20. I thought this IEM was pretty good sounding. I mean, it's not great. It's got issues, but it had a really cool sound stage to it. It had this like kind of like holographic kind of like layering and stuff to it, and some decent technical performance in the mids and the treble. So I really did enjoy this one, but I like the Duo too. I think the Duo is actually a decent IM. But yeah, so let's go from that, and we're gonna go to the what is this, the AS6 or whatever it's called. I keep wanting to call it the AS06, but I'm gonna have a crack at this. Actually, I already have one open. Where's the other one at? So I made molds. I made molds of these shells so I can make my own IEMs with this kind of shape, because this is very similar to like a 64 audio kind of shape. So I essentially molded the shells, so in future you might see some of my own IEMs with the same exact profile, just because I like the profile of the IEM. But yeah, so the quality on this is way different than newer KZs. Come on, focus. Jesus Christ. Hello. Fine, I'll fucking hold you down here. But anyway, yeah, so the quality is much different on the older KZ. The wiring is like not as good. Solder joints aren't as good. I had to fix up all these joints here. The quality is definitely a lot cheaper feeling than their newer ones. Still though, 3D printed. This is all 3D printed material in here. This is all 3D printed like sound guide. So I mean, back in what, 2019, 2020, they were using like 3D printed waveguides, and these don't sound bad. Honestly, they sound pretty decent by today's standards. Um, I mean, they're not great, but I mean, it is a KZ. But yeah, I mean, if you can still get your hands on these, it's really not a bad IM, to be honest. You know what? I'm just gonna take the shell apart. I'm not even gonna fiddle with this. I'm gonna give it the haircut, the Jeff special. Just take this puppy apart. The one thing I noticed is KZ, at some point, maybe in like 2019, 2018, somewhere around there, they went from using Belsing BA to using e-audio, and in turn, their treble got a lot better. So I don't know if you guys remember older KZ IEMs having a lot of BA timbre, and they had pretty decent like technical ability, but the treble grain was just really intense, like really sharp sounding. Well, at some point they switched over to e-audio, and I think that's what did it. I think that's what made the difference between their, when they had like this huge amount of BA timbre and like treble grain, to having like a smoother type of treble. Man, this is really stuck together. I was hoping the shell would start to pop apart from the 3D print, because I want to compare it to the AS16 Pro. And what was the model? Do you guys remember the model of KZ where they had balanced armatures that weren't even connected, or they had like fake speakers? Because there was a model back in the day, I remember they had where there was like a little bit of controversy surrounding it because somebody like grafted or whatever, and they disconnected a speaker and it wasn't connected, and then there was like a fake driver or something, or it just wasn't being used. It was in like one of their five. No, 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 no. It's not Zex Pro. No, no. I was a part of the Zex Pro controversy, and the Zex Pro is fine. DQ6, but that's not the IEM I'm talking about. This was like a five. This was like a five driver hybrid. This was like way back in the day. But yeah, so there's the 3D printed solution. Let me see if I can clean that up just a little bit. So I kind of boogered it just a little bit. But yeah, it's a little 3D printed housing. Not much has changed, honestly. Because where did I put that? Yeah, not much has changed. Just crammed a whole bunch more speakers in there. But honestly, the tuning formula is the same too, because you have a 22955, and you have two 22955s. Then you have a 29689 for the mids, two 29689s for the mids. Only difference is you have one treble BA in this one, and you have four treble BA in this one. But I'm pretty sure they're using. So the drivers aren't exactly the same. This still looks like e-audio, but this looks like the model of e-audio that I use in my OnePlus 3, where it's the two terminal. It's not three No, the CRN. No, the CRN's different. The CRN had perfectly working drivers. It was just the way it was tuned. It wasn't really utilizing the most out of the Magnetostat and whatnot. Yeah, I think it was the ZS6. Yeah, you're right. It was one of those. It was like the ZS6 or one of those IEMs. But essentially, it was like a five driver hybrid or six driver hybrid, and essentially one of them was like not connected, or they had a bunch that were just sitting in there not being used. And anyway, but yeah, as far as the ZEX goes and all that, those were fine. Those didn't have any issues. The DQ6 definitely had an issue. The DQ6 had two speakers that didn't work at all. Yeah, it had a little passage leading into the 10 millimeter. So you had the two 6 millimeters and then the 10 millimeter, and there was a little passageway that led from the two 6 millimeter to the 10, and every single one of them was blocked with glue. There's a glue blocking the passage, so no sound could even get through. And then what they did is, it's kind of hard to explain, but the shell was so tight that with the connector, so the shell was so tight with this connector here, they actually had to grind away the terminals on the dynamic driver. So they would just straight up grind off the solder joints on the back of the drivers. And a lot of times it was the input, not the output, because you on a dynamic driver you have two ins and two outs usually. And so they would just grind off the terminals so no sound could even get into the speakers. So literally there's wires attached, but there's no sound getting no power getting to them. And then on top of that, they had one of them wired in reverse polarity and the other wired in normal polarity. So essentially you had push pull. So they couldn't even make any sound because there's no pressure to even get to the tube. So they had cut terminals where power couldn't even get to the two 6 millimeter drivers. Then they had them wired up wrong, where no sound could even come out of them if they were wired up and power could get to them. And then they had the glue blocking the passage, where they couldn't even deliver sound to the nozzle anyway. It was just a clusterfuck. And apparently KZ had known about it or something, and they just let it go and just pretended like, oh no, it's fine, da, 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 da. They had to have known about it, because all you had to do is just disconnect the 10 millimeter and you knew right away. And the problem is, I've never come across. No, it's not a factory mistake. It was a design mistake. It was a design mistake, and instead of retooling the design and fixing it, they just continued using the design. But anyway, I mean they could have fixed it, but anyway, it's a long story. Um, but yeah, all the drivers worked. They're working. There's nothing wrong with the drivers. It's a It's like it feels like a waste of money, because they have real drivers in there. The 6 millimeters were real. You can get them off AliExpress for like $5 for a pair. So essentially, that's like $5 thrown down the drain. Plus the wiring, the crossover, all that stuff that's stuck in there, that none of it is actually doing anything. So, I mean, all the parts were there, but they just weren't being used. So, I'm gonna take this apart real quick. So, you guys remember the Venture Electronics, what is it? The VE, fuck, I forget the name now. Venture Electronics, VE. Anyway, um, Big Lee came out, or Wild Lee came out with a IEM Azure. Yeah, I think it's the Azure. It's a one dynamic driver. Um, well, anyway, I ended up buying it, and I didn't realize it was a 6 millimeter in a shell. It's literally like exact, like almost identical to this IEM here. It's pretty much just like a copy. So I'm curious to see if this is indeed the exact same driver that Lee used in the Azure, or if it's different. But this is not the Azure, obviously. This is the Tiandre or whatever, TD08, I think, or TD09. But yeah, but this is literally identical build quality. Well, not build quality, identical build to the Azure, but the quality is a little bit better. Yeah, all of the shell was just for a 6 millimeter. Blew my mind. I was like, what? But but yeah. So I don't. Did I make a copy of these? No, I did not make a copy of these shells. Damn, I should have done that. I didn't think about doing that. Oh well. I make little silicone molds of shells. So this is the AS6 or whatever that we just looked at. So that's essentially a copy of this. So I make copies of the molds. And then that way I can reuse the designs. And I was gonna do it for these because I actually kind of like the shell profile, but it's fine. But yeah, but literally the Azure, like same connector, same wiring, like the wiring is exactly the same, and the driver looks very, 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 very similar. So I'm curious if Lee just ripped off Tiandre or not. I like Lee. He's a nice guy. I spoke to him a long time ago, and he sent me all. Yeah, it's the same driver. Yeah, so if you don't want to spend the money on an Azure, you can literally just get the TDO9, I think it is. TDO8. It's literally the exact same setup as the Azure. Same driver. So it's a 6 millimeter titanium. Same crappy wiring. I hate this wiring because it comes apart really easily. Comes desoldered easily. Same connector, but in this case, the shell quality is better. The resin is better quality. No offense to Lee or nothing, but I'm almost positive he was using like end user or like residential 3D printers and not using commercial 3D printers when he was printing those IEMs, because they were made by him, or at least that's what he said. He said that they were making them by hand. So the new gold one looks good, the VIE or whatever it is. But yeah. Yeah, essentially that's what. Yeah, I paid an extra $25 for the same IEM. Yeah, the SIE looks good. I'm curious. I want to check it out. I might get to the Zen. I might not. That's gonna take me a while to take apart. Maybe I'll do like a two-parter or something, or I'll come back tomorrow and finish taking them apart. But yeah, so let's do. I'm gonna do the AS06. At least I want to start to take it apart. These are going to be difficult because they are fully potted in resin, and I would ideally like to keep the drivers intact. Um, but these don't sound very good, unfortunately. I mean, they're okay, but they're not great. They're very neutral, very mid-heavy. But you would never know by looking at the graph. The graph does not look neutral or mid-heavy. But these sound like a little bit like AM radio, like someone's talking to you on a walkie-talkie or something. And I just don't like that tuning. So there are our drivers. So this is the same, or if not similar, 31618 or whatever it is. This is essentially the same bass driver or similar bass driver to what is in the Anole VX. Then we have our two mid drivers, which I am very curious because I have no clue what these are. No idea whatsoever. And same thing with the treble. I want to say these treble PA might be, was it 31736? AudioSense. AudioSense made this. AudioSense actually has some kind of cool looking IEMs. Like you can see the nozzles and the dampening inside, like the sound tubes look really cool. It's a cool looking IEM for sure. And if we remove this, shoot, sorry, I gotta grab a needle real quick. And if we pull this mesh off the front, you can see there's like a plate with some like dampening, it looks like. But the graphs look pretty decent on these. It's not a bad looking graph. It's a little wild up in like the mid and the treble area. It kind of does a little bit of roller coaster stuff. But I mean, for the most part, it's pretty well controlled. And the bass curve, or like the bass profile, actually looks a lot like Project Red, or like what is it? The first one that they did, the Zero or whatever it is, the 2DD. Yeah, it looks like the Truth Ear Zero almost, because it does this little like bloop, and then it goes flat across, and then it goes up and does the peanut gain, and yeah, so not bad, but they just don't sound very good. Oh yeah, that's gonna be tough. That's gonna be tough to take apart. All right, I'm going to try to not focus on the camera. I'm going to try to do this. So if I get out of frame, I do apologize. I'm going to try to find the best way to crack these open. Oh man, I already destroyed one. Well, there goes that balanced armature. I didn't even touch it. It just cracked off with the resin. And that just hit my computer monitor. Well guys, this is probably a bad idea because this resin is hard. And it's going flying all over the place. Damn. Damn. God damn, that is some tough stuff. Where'd it go? It's in pieces. There's a bass driver. Can I extract you without completely ruining you? Maybe. pull it out now. I mean, you guys would be surprised. I've taken apart a lot of IEMs like this, and for the most part, the drivers have all been working still, but it's a lot of patience and careful cutting. If you make one wrong move, unfortunately, you damage a driver. But that's the risk you take with potted IEMs. That's why I don't really take apart potted IEMs. At least I try not to. It's like a doctor trying to fucking do surgery without killing the patient. Yeah, I already dented it. I already damaged it. Oh well, time to get reckless on its ass. This is why I don't like potted IEMs, because they are such pain in the ass to take apart. Alright, what driver is this? Yeah, see, 31618 or 31718. So, it's ruined, but at least I know what it is. So, this is the same base driver as the Anole VX, pretty much. And, or 31613, whatever it is. Where did the other half go? There it is. So here's the other half. Rip shell, rip IEM. Everything. The drivers are fucking dead. These drivers are toast. I was hoping to save some of them, but it looks like that's not going to happen. Yeah, DT600, that's what it is. Alright, see how half that BA just went pew? Yeah, I mean if I wanted to, but I'm not. I'm taking them apart on camera, so I'm not going to use a Dremel tool. I'm not going to sit here and create a bunch of dust for people on camera. I mean, I have my ways of being very careful and extracting IEMs in a successful manner, but where is... I can't read that. That's impossible to read. Oh well. Anyway, so that's the mid BA, or what's left of it. There's the base BA. And let's see if I can get these treble BA out without killing them. Watch me kill every single balanced armature in this IEM. Sorry. God, this resin is fucking tough. That's some tough stuff. If you guys could only see where all these pieces are going, they're like flying all over my room. Oh yeah, it's really good quality resin. Yeah, they're not messing around with these. I've taken apart many IEMs, and this is pretty good stuff. I just wish it wasn't so good so I could take it apart a little easier. What's the deal with vents on some base BAs? It's just for a little more output. They can create a little more output when they have venting. But I mean, that's pretty much it. It doesn't really do anything else. It doesn't, the venting does not go across to the, yeah, and of course I removed a solder terminal. But anyway, the venting does not go all the way across to the actual driver side, like the diaphragm side. It's only for the rear, or the coil and all that. I can't read that. I'm gonna try to read this model real quick. No, I can't read it. I can't read it. Strangely enough, it doesn't look like a Knowles, though. I don't think that's Knowles. It's not really a tuned port. It's just... So, the way a balanced armature works, you have you have like a coil, and then you have this little tongue that goes through the coil, and there's like an electromagnet. Well, anyway, there's two sides of the diaphragm, and they're both isolated from one another. So if it's in a sealed unit, every time that diaphragm moves forward or back, it's either creating a pressure zone, or it's either rarefaction or compression, and it's all going on within this little metal chamber here. Well, if you add a vent, so if you add vents to the driver, it has a lot more ability to move air without drawing and compressing inside its little chamber here. So essentially, you just give it more output. I mean, you could technically, if you wanted to, you could drill a hole in any IEM, or you could even plug up the holes if you wanted to change the output. Now, could it change the tuning characteristics? It's possible, but like I said, the way the diaphragms, at least on dual BAs, they're always in the middle. So you have, let me see if I can show you. So along this seam here, right next to the seam on either side is where the diaphragm is, and you can see the holes are a little bit in from there. So all the free air is on the back side of the diaphragm. The side that communicates the sound or the air pressure towards your ear is isolated. It can only go in and out this section here. So if you close off these holes, it'll have an effect, or at least it'll be able to draw air and push air back out without compression and rarefaction. So you do get a little bit of gain out of it, but it may also affect the tuning because all that pressure on the backside of the diaphragm is being manipulated. But obviously air is a compressible material, so its effect is going to be trivial. It's going to be minimal. But I think for the most part, the only effect is on the amount of gain or output that the BA has. There might be a very, very, very small alteration or change in tuning. But yeah, for the most part, you're just changing the amount of gain. But a tuned port would be like on the front side, where the sound actually gets delivered to the ears, and that's essentially what where are they at? Sorry. So this is the example of a tuned port. So the A-full performer, for example, not in the treble, because treble frequencies are very direct, so the BAs need to literally hit the ear. But for the mids and for the bass, they each have tuned ports and or acoustic waveguides that help direct the sound and alter the sound. Yeah, it's kind of like the port, except it's kind of hard to explain. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, I mean that does make sense. The only thing is a port obviously helps enhance the sound on a speaker because the the air pressure bounces off the wall or whatever, the molecules, you know, bounce off the wall and back towards you. And ideally they bounce back at a certain wavelength where it joins up with the original originating wave, and it increases the bass or decreases the bass. But yeah, this is basically just changing how it breathes. But if you vent a you know, like a bookshelf speaker, you actually get some benefits sound wise, as far as increasing like bass performance or whatever amplitude. Let's see. All right, I got, what is this? T2 DLC. I'm gonna do that. No, DT600 does not have the same drivers as Orchestra Lite. Orchestra Lite uses 22955s, and DT600 uses the 31618. Basically, the DT600 uses the same drivers as the Anol VX, or similar to the Anol VX, whereas the Orchestra Lite uses the same BA as like the RSV, or what else is another one? I'm trying to think of some other IEMs that use the 22955. There's a whole bunch of them. But yeah, essentially the 22955s, they have better output, more output. And I don't know, the performance might be a little bit better. But the DT, so this is part of the DTEC series, or DTEC. And it's essentially just a um, more compact profile or whatever, more compact space. So essentially this has two drivers, and these are two drivers. So this is what's in the Orchestra Lite, two 22955s, and that's in the DT600. So essentially you can fit one of these BAs into one of the 22955s. So there's a size advantage. So you get a size advantage from the DTEC, but you get a little bit less output, and I don't think the bass is as strong. They're definitely not as easy to tune as, say, a dual 22955. Something about these drivers, at least the ones that I've used, the e-audio version. So there's an e-audio dual version, which is essentially this, but it's called a 30029, and it is way easier to tune than these. For whatever reason, like putting a dampener on these does not cut the highs, or like the mids or whatever, the upper mids. But that could just be the e-audio version. I haven't really played around with the Knowles version, although I do have them because I had to repair my Anol VX. But yeah, these are a little bit higher output. I don't know, a little bit better in my opinion. I like the bass performance a little bit better, but they take up way more size. They take up way more room. So essentially, I could fit 4 of these into 2 of these. So 4 balanced armatures versus 2 in the same exact amount of space. Actually, a little bit less. So that's the difference between the two. I'm gonna take this part real quick. I'm gonna take the part this Dunu or Auglamour, whatever this is. I'm pretty sure that's the Auglamour logo, or Auglamour. I don't know how you pronounce it, but then it says Dunu driver. But then again, these drivers you can get on AliExpress for $4 a piece. So I don't know what to call it. I'm gonna call it a mutt. So essentially, this driver here, you can get these for $4, like $5 for like a pair on AliExpress, and these are essentially dual 8mm coaxial drivers. So there's like a treble kind of like metallic disc on the bottom, which is weird. I honestly haven't quite put it together how they work, but there's like a metallic disc on the bottom, but it handles more of the highs, and then there's the dynamic driver on the top, but it's a coaxial 8mm driver, and they're dirt cheap. And they actually sound really good if you just want a single driver. They're not great for hybrids because they are full frequency, but just out the box, the tuning on them is actually pretty good. And you can literally do what they did here, where you just take the speaker and just pump it straight out to the nozzle. The problem with these, though, is they didn't account for, and they didn't leave any room for venting. There's literally no venting in this IEM. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with coaxial. Coaxial's fine. But they didn't leave any venting for these drivers, so they are just annoying. Anybody that knows anything about drivers that or IEMs that aren't vented, they just suck. And I mean that includes my own shit. I've made a bunch of IEMs that have no venting just because it's much harder to add venting to some IEMs. But yeah, vented IEMs are the way to go. But yeah, if you look, you don't know a good coaxial? I mean, how many coaxials are in the IEM industry though, like in the IEM market? Canara actually uses a bunch of these coaxial drivers. They're the ones that sent me them originally, and then I found them on AliExpress. But yeah, I don't think Dunu makes this driver. I'm almost positive. I think they just made this case and put the case on there. But yeah, it's got the Dunu logo. But yeah, these are like dime a dozen. You can get a bunch of them online for dirt cheap, and they'll have this little. There's 3 different versions. You can get the version with this spout here. They call it the Vortex or whatever. Then you can get another version that does not have this whole like crossover setup on the back, but still has the Vortex. And then you can get just a plain version, which has no frequency divider or no crossover on the back, and no Vortex. Yeah, it might be the same driver. Like I said, there's a whole bunch of I got these same exact drivers from Canara. So I'm sure there are Canara IEMs out there that use the same driver. It's not a bad driver. It's really not. It's a pretty decent driver. I wouldn't say it's like fantastic or nothing. It's not gonna blow you away. I've definitely heard better, like in my Aphex driver that I'm using, and from like Coaxial or whatever, the HUAYUNXIN drivers. Like those are better sounding. But yeah, it's not a bad little driver at all. And then we have this little guy here. Let me just take this apart, this little KZ. So this is what's going on inside. It's essentially just a coil attached to a frequency divider. So you get your resistor, capacitor, and then your coil, and that creates your filter network or whatever, your Zobel network. Uses the same driver, I believe. I can't tell. Uses the same driver, I'm pretty positive, as like the D-Fi and all those other ones, but I could be wrong. What about the... Didn't you say that Watson or... What's WTV, the A500 driver? I don't know what that means. No. They're not. No, it's not. The EA500 driver is its own bespoke driver. It's made specifically for what's the fucking brand again? Oh, where are they at? I'm sorry, my brain's crapping out. SimGot or whatever it is. Yeah, SimGot. Thank you. Yeah, so it's made for SimGod. It's not used in other IEMs. I was saying that I put the Coaxial or whatever, the Huayanzhen driver I put that driver in the EA500, and it sounded just as good, if not a little bit better than the EA500 driver. Because the EA500 driver is good, but it's just a little light sounding. It lacks dynamics. It's a little like on the soft side. And the Horizon or whatever, that driver is it just has a little more body to it. It sounds a little better. And it's got these super sparkly highs to it. The treble performance is really quite insane for how thick the diaphragm appears to be, because it doesn't look like like you can tell from looking at a diaphragm if its like tolerances are real tight, and the stamping, you know, the way they stamped it or whatever, if that it's like really high quality. But the Huayanzhen or whatever drivers, they look kind of like loose, like they just look like they like painted a coating on the driver and called it a day. But the performance speaks otherwise. Like the performance is actually pretty good. So I don't know. Yeah, it looks like the same driver but in a different chassis. Because that PCB is different, but that diaphragm material looks the same as like the DeFi and the VZX or whatever, ZVX. Yeah, that's the same diaphragm material. So it's not exactly the same driver as the DeFi and all that, but it is pretty similar. Um, and then it's in the shell. Who uses their drivers anyway? God, I can't remember. I have seen a couple IEMs here and there, not many, but I have seen a couple IEMs that have used their drivers. I just honestly can't think off the top of my head um, who uses their drivers. But yeah, so this is that little Farad coil or whatever it is, the choke or whatever. It's basically like a high. Whoops. Uh-oh. It's like a high frequency choke, and then they have it connected in series, it looks like, or some sort of series parallel with the capacitor and the resistor. So that's pretty cool. Essentially, what the coil does is it levels out the impedance with the speaker. So every speaker has its impedance curve. It's kind of hard to explain, but the amount of resistance changes as the frequency changes. And essentially what this coil does is your amplifier sees it as a common resistance. So whatever this, say this is an 8 ohm coil or 16 ohm coil, it'll see this speaker as 16 ohms throughout the entire frequency range. It's at least that's like the basics that I know of it. But if you look up, what did I just say it was called? The Zobel. So if you look up Zobel network, um, the Zobel network, there's like different aspects to it, or different portion, like different ways you can make a Zobel network. There's a couple ingredients that pretty much always stay the same, and the values are pretty much based on the driver impedance, and I think like maybe sensitivity. I don't know. Anyway, there's a couple different things that it's based off of, but yeah, there's like this like I can't think of the guy's name, but there's like another scientist that added on to it, and essentially they discovered that if you take a coil and you wire it up a certain way to the Zobel network, it instead of your amplifier seeing the uh, impedance curve of the speaker, it sees a straight impedance of the coil, and so it's like a constant linear like 8 ohms. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. It's definitely a novel design. This is like, a couple generations ago when I praised KZ for trying different stuff, but they kind of fell into the funk with their recent releases. Although the Duo, I will say I do like the Duo. it's not a full sounding IEM. It could definitely use more bass and more mids and be a little bit warmer sounding, but for being like a cold neutral kind of IEM, like a neutral cold sounding, um, it has some really good technical abilities in the treble region. It's like treble is it's actually pretty damn technical, and sounds nice in my opinion. So it's a nice sounding driver, but it's a shame that they didn't add more bass to it. So that'll be one of my things that I'll get around to eventually. Is I will eventually retune the CCA Duo, and I will give it more bass and see how it sounds. Because if they could have taken the Duo and just made the Duo into another like Zero, or or like Project Red, but with an actual like similar bass curve and not just the same old stupid frequency divider that they do, like all they had to do is just reverse engineer the Zero or the Red, I mean, I don't know the wire. I haven't like looked up close at the wiring, so I couldn't tell you if they copied it or not. But just judging by the graphs that Delta Fire made, it looks like they just did a stupid frequency divider, and they didn't like actually filter the bass, from the high frequency driver. Like it's like they're both all playing full frequency, and they just connected one up to a narrow port, to kind of filter out the highs from it that way, instead of going all the way and using a frequency divider to filter out the highs too. So this is the scale. I do not like the scale. It's a bad sounding IEM. But yeah, so this is a Mylar. I'm pretty sure this is a Mylar driver. So the Mylar has got like kind of a cloudy texture to it compared to PET, which is a little bit clearer, a little bit softer. The Mylar is a little bit, I don't know how to explain it. The Mylar is more like a plastic shopping bag kind of material. At least that's what I think it is. Could be wrong. I'm not a professional when it comes to plastics. Veiled? What's veiled? Who's veiled? Are you veiled? Slightly opaque? Yes, slightly opaque. It's like cloudy. No, 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 no. Just looks cloudy. It's like Fred said. It's like slightly opaque. But it's not the sound. The sound is just garbage. It's boomy and it's like hollow and distant, and there's like a bunch of frequencies that resonate, and it's like that other one that friend sent me. He he sent me, I can't say the name of the company because it's completely in Chinese and it's a pain in the butt to say, but it's a 2DD IM like the scale. Oh, there you go. There's a Huayanzhen driver right here. This is the CS10 or the HR10 CS, I think it is, or HR10 something or other. The last two letters are like the diaphragm material or whatever. But yeah, this is a Huayanzhen driver here. It's not a bad driver. It's just that they decided to freaking use this little driver here, and the chassis is not separated, and there's all kinds of stuff they did. But yeah, they messed it up. The scale is not good. It was very quickly forgotten. But the drivers aren't too bad. At least the bass driver isn't. I mean, that's a pretty fancy driver, pretty decent. CNT, yeah, I believe it is. It's definitely something. It's not it's not like your normal PET. It's definitely coated with something. The other ones I have are supposedly carbon nanotube and beryllium. I mean, not and beryllium, carbon nanotube and oh yeah, I think maybe it is beryllium. Yeah, it's like beryllium and carbon nanotube or whatever. But yeah, CNT/BE. Yeah. So the ones I have are carbon nanotube and beryllium, but I think these are just carbon nanotube. But yeah, they're not bad. They're nice. I like the HT10s or whatever instead of the HR10s a little better. The HT10s are the ones that look very similar to the drivers that I'm using in my Aphex. So like here's the driver I'm using in my Aphex. It looks very, very similar, but it's not the same. It's, well, there's a lot of things that are different about it. The PCB is different. All the Hawaiians and drivers or whatever, none of them are this pure like carbon black. So this is like black black. The ones that they have, the CNT beryllium, are like a bluish, dark gray, like a dark grayish, bluish. They're definitely different looking. What else do I got? What else do I got? KBR, that sucks. Yeah, the Aphex driver is legit, man. It's legit. That's one of the best drivers I've come across, and for the price that I pay, I mean, it's literally the only way that I can sell them and still make some kind of money off of it, or else I would go broke making every single pair. And I mean, the amount of money that I make is honestly very negligible because I spend like 3 or 4 hours making each pair. It's like barely worth it. That's one of the reasons why I want to rework the shell. It's just because it's a lot of time and energy put into it. Um, and I mean, it pays off because it's nice when people tell me that they enjoy the IEM and they like the sound. I like sharing it with other people. And there's some pride in it, knowing that it was made like I made it. Um, and I have a couple defective units sitting around, but it's so much work, time and effort to manufacture them. So if I can retool the shell a little bit, I definitely will, and then I would definitely get into making more. But for right now, I need to rethink them a little bit. But yeah, they're not bad. I mean, like I said, it's all handmade. It's all custom. The shells are made on my printer. The face plates I get from China, but they're like little sheets, and then I have to sand them, put polish on them. Sometimes the polish doesn't come out good, like it's wavy on this one. I'm still learning. Sometimes there's little defects and stuff. But yeah, I drill holes, uh, attach the nozzle, put the resin in, glue all the wires down and everything. And there's a lot of sanding involved, and I sand like the profile into there and into the edge corners or whatever. And I sand the profile, like the rounded profile on the faceplate. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of work that is involved. And then the tuning with the nozzle and stuff. I spent hours going through and trying different methods of securing dampeners to the inside because these are modified. These actually come from a seller with a different driver attached. And so I have to, every time I get these, I have to remove the driver, clean the backside, pull out all the foam and everything, glue in my own dampeners, and then after I glue my own dampeners in, then I reattach the foam, and add a dampener for the vent here because they're all vented through the nozzle, which I think is the way to go. This is like far superior to venting through like a shell or whatever. I mean, these things breathe. They breathe like all hell. And a driver that can breathe properly sounds so much better. I think that's one problem a lot of IEM manufacturers have that make single DDs. They just don't know how to make the drivers breathe. You gotta really, really vent them good. If you give them good venting, they just sound so much nicer. Because it's for the driver to operate. It's pretty effortless. So this is the guide ray. So the guide ray is pretty cool. It's all 3D printed. It's got this little standoff here that's got the dampener. So these are vented. It's got a 9mm beryllium dome or beryllium driver, it looks like. This is basically like the Canera BD005. You guys remember the BD005 Pro or whatever it's called? Literally, these have the same nozzle. So this is the same nozzle as the Canera BD005 Pro. And I'm pretty sure these have the same drivers as well. I'm almost positive this is just a OEM because there's like a couple different OEMs of the BD005 Pro. And I'm almost willing to bet that this is the same exact IEM, just different. And even the being able to see the balanced armature through the body on the BDs. I don't have any BD005s here to show you guys, but literally it's the same exact thing where you can see the BD005 treble BA through the outside of the shell. Yeah, but yeah, the nozzle and everything. This is like it all screams Canera. Although I'm pretty sure they're not the ones who made the IEM. I think they just made it popular. But I'm pretty sure it was like an OEM kind of job, and Canera was just one of the ones that made it pretty popular. Now I don't think I graphed these. I'm pretty sure I didn't graph them. But that's all right. They sound decent. They're not great, but they're not bad. So you can see like the profile of the base tube. So it's a nice kind of small tube. It gets narrow towards the nozzle. And we can kind of just lift this out. I'll do it here in a second. But yeah, so there's the beryllium driver. Whoops. Yeah, I think I'll do the T2 DLC and then I'm going to stop at that. And that'll be it for the rest of the night because I am sweating like a pig in here and I desperately want a cigarette and my voice is about to go out. So this is a very interesting balanced armature. This is based off of a Knowles design. And it's very weird. It's all like tack welded and stuff. But it's kind of hard to show you guys, but the housing is way different. So it's definitely a different looking BA. Let me see if I can show you so you can kind of get an idea of how different they are. But yeah, the shape and the profile is different. The one on the left is like super boxy, whereas these newer ones are like kind of rounded, like the edges are rounded and they're just a little bit smoother. This is like somebody just took 4 pieces of sheet metal and tack welded them together. But yeah, very interesting. They look like decent drivers. I'm gonna measure them and see how well they perform. I don't think the treble BA is the best, just because of the way that the IEM sounded, but the dynamic driver sounds decent. All right, so which one is this? Nope, that's not. That's the T3. All right, so this is the T2 DLC. My health's all right. It's not great. It's not bad. Just been doing my thing, man. Going to the doctor. I go to the doctor like once a month. They take care of me. But yeah, I'd rather not talk about it. What's my favorite large diameter? I don't know. Honestly, I haven't really tried anything over 10 millimeters. I don't really have a large format driver that I even like really tried. I have the Horizon what is it, 14 millimeter, the CNT ones, and I I don't know what to think of them yet. They don't really have very good treble performance. So I don't know. Like, they're not bad drivers, but they don't really impress me. But then again, I haven't really tried tuning them because they don't, that's just the raw driver. They don't really have a shell or anything. Oh my goodness. There we go. Sorry, I'm going ham sandwich on the T2 DLC. I'm not really concerned with breaking the driver. See. Yeah, I need to try the Let's Sure, the D13. There's a few IEMs that I need to try, but I honestly cannot justify spending any money on IEMs right now. If anybody, and I thought about doing this, maybe in a little while because I'm still a little busy, but I would love to ask a few people, if I can borrow some of their IEMs to test and make videos on. Not tear apart or nothing because I don't want to break anyone's personal property. But at the same time, I would love to hear some more IEMs. So like if ow, just poked myself. But yeah, I would definitely be down for borrowing some IEMs, for like a week or two, and listening to them. Originally, Timmy, yeah, I would appreciate that. That would be awesome. Fred, but yeah, the Timmy, he when he lived in the U.S. God damn it, before he moved to Japan, he would send me some stuff. I mean, that's how I listened to the Mest Mark II. That's how I listened to the Dunu. What is it? The Dunu. Oh shoot, I can't think of the name of off the top of my head. The 6BA, the SA6 or whatever it's called. And also the Yume. Gosh, he sent me a few. He sent me a few IMs. But yeah, that's how I listen to some pretty expensive IMs like the variations. Timmy sent me all those to borrow and to listen to. It's a shame because I couldn't take them apart, but and I really wanted to. But at least I got to hear some really good IMs. And Timmy's a really nice guy. I haven't talked to him in a long time. He's got his own stuff going on. He's a very, very busy guy. But I love Timmy to death. He's a very genuine soul, and he's a very nice guy. All right. Also, like, people like Hawaii Bad Boy, like he sent me a few IMs too, which was awesome. I mean, he sent me the Dark Magician, at least the other half of his Dark Magician, and like that's an IM that I would probably have never listened to, or even seen inside without someone like Hawaii Bad Boy to help me out. But that's kind of how it goes in this hobby. I've thought about offering to like loan out IMs to other people, but I don't really know anybody like uh, that would be interested in any of the IMs I have because I really don't have many IMs of value because I take them all apart. All right, I think I got all the glue out. What's my opinion about the EST driver implementation? Um, it's very expensive. It's honestly probably not really worth the money compared to balanced armatures. If the IEM designer knows what they're doing, just because the price is really so much more than balanced armatures. I mean, you're talking so street price. Yeah, yeah, Timmy's Critical's video editor. Um, Timmy, he's owned a lot of YouTube channels. But anyway, but yeah, like EST, I know that for example, for the 2 EST version, street price, at least from like SoundLink, it's $100 for a 2 EST unit, and it's $200 for the 4 EST unit, and that's basically street price. So, um, I mean, that's if you were to add that into the cost of the IEMs and whatnot, yeah, that's why any IEM that has EST is like usually in the few hundred to thousands range, is usually because the EST units are just so damn expensive. But the sound quality is awesome as far as the treble goes. It lacks a little bit of dynamics, and sometimes the texture can be kind of like one note ish. So sometimes you'll be listening to like string section or something, and it'll just sound really staticky. Um, and yeah, so there sometimes the EST can be kind of like a one trick pony. It really depends. It's more, I look at EST as like an addition, like an option. Um, so you add it to your balanced armatures. It's really only best when used at super high frequencies, like 12 kilohertz and higher. And other than that, stupid driver. And other than that, um, I wouldn't I wouldn't use EST for anything lower than like 12 kilohertz and above, or like 10 kilohertz and above. But they're also very power hungry, which means you got to get the 4 EST version, which is obviously more expensive and takes up much more space. Damn it, I just stabbed myself again. But yeah, it takes up more space because you have the transformer and the 4 EST units. There we go. All right, so I totally annihilated this driver, but I didn't feel like being careful. So the dome is completely inverted, but you can see there's no center hole here in the dome. Essentially, this is the same. This is the same style of case to the C2 and the C3. So the Tin Hi-Fi C2 and C3, they use the exact same case where they stopped having a center hole, and it's just the 8 holes around the circumference. But the diaphragm material is DLC instead of LCP, of course. So the driver looks like it's made by Blonde. So this looks like a Blonde driver, but I could be wrong. This is also a very similar driver. The coating's a little different, but this is also a very similar driver to the where is it at? Where'd it go? Where's my box? Where's my box at? There it is. So it's a very similar driver to this, what the fuck was the name of this IEM? Anyway, it's got a lot of DNA in common with Blonde. Shoot, where's the other one at? I got too many IEMs all over the place. I can't even find the one I'm looking for. But anyway, yeah, so if we open up this one here, I'll show you that the driver is almost identical. Where's my thing at? But yeah, yeah, your dreams to have the EST planar and DD. I mean, you'll definitely get a good sound out of that, but so I've been tuning, the single dynamic driver or whatever for Aphex, and honestly, man, I single DD when done right is just so worth it, and just I think in my opinion is so much better than any hybrid you can deal with, just because the coherence is just like second to none pretty much. All right, so this is obviously a different housing. Back of the driver is similar except a different color PCB. And let me... Oh, you did the X1 mod? Yeah, dude, because that's the same driver as the Dark Magician. All right, so there you go. So see, so I'm pretty sure it's the same company manufacturing the drivers. So this is the T2 DLC, and this is the one that I just opened up out of the Canper or whatever. So different coating. I think this might be like graphene or something. You can see the kind of slight haze to the DLC. It's also a little more rigid. Yeah, this might just be like PET or whatever. But anyway, this driver profile is pretty common, and I know Blonde likes to use these a lot, so this is probably Blonde. This is also the same chassis and everything, like same shape of chassis that the Olina uses. So these are kind of like cousins to the Olina driver, except these are most likely made in a different factory, because I mean factories can clone one another. They can all have the same equipment, make the same looking part, but the diaphragm is really where it's at. So without having like a 500x microscope, it's really hard to tell the precise differences between the coatings. Like I have a third, I think it's like a 5 times or a 30 times microscope, and it's already hard enough to see the difference in diaphragms. And I mean, I have a lot. There's a lot of diaphragms in here. So anyway, I get the coherence thing. What on a good hybrid? What might be an issue? Well, the thing about a good hybrid is, you get better separation. So you can sometimes end up getting better technical ability, but that's not always true. But a lot of times the layering and separation can be better because you have the different types of driver. And sometimes the difference in timbre, will be appealing, just because it's not consistent all the way through the range. Like some dynamic drivers can sound a little bit boring, if anything, compared to like a tribrid, and that's just because the timbre, all the way through the frequency range, and each diaphragm has its own different timbre. So that would be basically like having a 3 dynamic driver IEM like this, but each diaphragm having a different material and each driver playing a different frequency band. That would be pretty similar to like a tribrid, where you'd get that same effect, kinda, where you get the different timbres from the different driver materials. But I think the coherence would be a little bit different, just because the attack and the decay of the different drivers, like balanced armature versus planar versus dynamic versus EST, they're not always appropriate, and sometimes they sound a little bit wonky. Yeah, Variations is a good IEM. I really enjoyed Variations. It had a lot of bass. I like bass. Bass was good. I liked it so much that I bought a very, very similar driver to the Variations. Oh, I think the Variations might even have the Huayazan drivers in them, except it's LCP. It could be a different brand. It could be a different factory. But I bought one of their LCP drivers a long time ago, and I put it in one of my tribrids. It was the 1+2+2, and that at least the LCP version of that driver, of the HR10 or whatever it is, it sounded really good. The bass was incredible on it. All right, so this IEM, this little guy right here, this NFJ IEM, this has 3 drivers. They're very interesting because they all use the same diaphragm material, except one of them is 6mm and the 2 others are 5mm. So these are literally just 1mm. Well, that one got destroyed, but these are 1mm less. I mean, that is insane. Hold that up against the 10mm driver. That's the difference between 5mm circumference to 10mm circumference. Like, that's just nuts. Anyway. All right. I'll do like one more. Oh, no, it's not a Duno. No, it's a NFJ. It's cheap boy. I saw them on AliExpress. I thought they looked cool. And then I asked people, I said, hey, are these new? And they were like, no, those are really old. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I got it, and it kind of sounded crappy. And I was like, okay. I was like, that's cool. It's like one of those IEMs where you buy, you listen to 5 minutes, and then you never pick it up again. That's basically what it was. Kind of like this one, too. I don't have anything against the EW100. But it, you know, I got my Aphex, and I have better sounding IEMs. But I was curious the quality of the driver, and I was curious if this was the same driver as the Leia. Spoiler alert, it's not. But the Leia driver actually looks better quality than this driver. Yeah, so this is the yellow LCP. So it's got like a kind of a deep yellow to it. Yeah, I banged it up kind of bad. I'll take it apart. So yeah, this is very similar to the C2, the Tin Hi-Fi C2 and C3. Only difference is this one's a little more dull, like the coating. You can see like the reflection of the light. The coating's a little dull. I'm not sure the difference of the thickness and all that stuff and the stamping, you know. But but yeah, it's a nice, just a decent sounding driver. It's got a very interesting sounding like 6 kilohertz, like the mids. It's a very dry sounding mid. But it resolves kind of nice. I don't know. It's not very technical. But I don't know. There's something about it sounds kind of cool, but it's very dry. It's very dry sounding. It's very dry sounding dynamic. But yeah, I actually like most LCP drivers. Most, not all. All right, TRN. Yeah, let's take TRN apart. This is gonna be a pain in the dick because this is a oh, there we go. All right, so we disconnected for a second, but we're back. Oh no, the nozzle came out. This thing's just coming apart on me. So there's 2 balanced armatures. What is this? The VX. These are actually not bad sounding. These are definitely one of the better. I'm sorry, man. It is first come, first serve. I apologize. If you hit me up in the freaking or DM me up, I still got another one left. But you better do it quick. Because I actually just sold another one today, and I am getting very low on parts. That's for less tempo in Paris to know. Because he already asked me before. Yeah, I know. I destroying my hands, but it's all right. So we got two balanced armatures in the nozzle. We got, if I can get it to focus, we got four balanced armatures down the side, and then we got another two at the bottom. So we got eight balanced armatures, one dynamic driver. This is really stuffed. I mean, this IEM is packed to the gills. And it sounds pretty good. TRN, every so often, TRN hits the mark, but they have had a lot of misses lately in quality control. Its sister brand, CVJ is the sister brand of TRN, if anybody didn't know that. But CVJ, so 2021, I think, they had quite a few flops, quite a few IEMs that weren't tuned very well. And then starting with the May, when they released the May, they started doing well again. And yeah, CVJ is a sister company to TRN. Um, at least that's what I've heard. I've heard that from numerous people. But yeah, so May is an awesome IEM. Like they really did good with it, and I like the whole switch for on off instead of like just changing the tuning. And yeah, I know. Um, well, because TRN, I don't know, man. They've been like cloning. So CVJ hasn't really been cloning other companies' products. Like this, what does this look like to you? This doesn't look like anything. You know that's its own thing. What does this look like to you? I mean that if that doesn't scream, trying to rip off another company, like I don't know what does. Um, that I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe that's whatever, something different. But anyway, I don't want to go too much into detail, but uh, TRN sent me a few IEMs for review, and they had really bad quality control issues. And it's more or less due to the design. It wasn't really the parts, it's just the way the IEMs were designed. So I didn't review them, I didn't talk about them because of the issues. Um, and CVJ I just didn't really talk about because of just the tuning wasn't good. It wasn't great. But then they came out with May. May's good. And then they came out with these few recent, like, I mean, they've been blasting out releases like crazy. But they've actually been doing pretty good. I mean, I don't hate them. I actually kind of like a lot of the IEMs they've been releasing. Even their cheaper ones, like I've seen these $60 some places. Like, why? But these you can get for $30. I mean, they're decent. Same thing with these. They're not bad IEMs at all. And then they got that new KEAI or whatever the company that makes the TK2. They did a collaboration with them, and that IEM looks sick. It's essentially CVJ's version of the AS16 Pro. So I think it's two and four. No, Kumo, yeah, no, they didn't send it to me. I'm gonna try to message them. They might want me to finish my other reviews first because I still need to finish the reviews on these two. But in my opinion, the only IEM that was really a miss from them recently was this little guy. It's cool. Don't get me wrong. It's cool. It's very novel. It's actually uses decent components. Um, but the quality control issues, it gets a ding, and I think they could have probably did a little bit better with this. But it's hard. It's a budget company doing bone conduction, and a lot of people haven't tried it, so they don't understand that it's really fiddly, and you got to try different ear tips, and sometimes you got to push it forward, and sometimes you got to like mold a shell around it to get it to fit to the ear real nicely. Um, you know, I mean, but yeah, just the fact that they did it is cool. I give them very high praise for introducing new technology. It's the same thing with KZ. When KZ started putting like MStat and stuff in there, having DDBA and MStat, a tribrid for like $50. I'm like, hell yeah. Put new stuff in your IEMs. Try new things. Think outside the box. Try different tunings. Whatever. That's cool. If it fails, it's not a big deal. But so anyway, so I admire what they have been doing lately. Um, Even though I think I, I question the materials of the diaphragms, I don't question the quality. The quality still strikes me as being a little bit above average, maybe too average at the worst case scenario. Um, but yeah, the materials that they've been using, especially the dynamic driver in this one, they sound pretty decent. I'm not gonna lie. The only thing is the balanced armatures could probably be tuned a little bit better. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. They're very slight nitpicks against IEMs like these, these budget IEMs. But all in all, they're very good. And they're different flavors too. It's not like they took the May and they just copied the May over and over and over again. These all sound different. They all have their little quirks to them, and they all sound slightly different. And they all have different qualities to one another, which I'll eventually get into. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, with TRN, they were straight up like defects in the IEMs. So it's I just didn't talk about them, and I don't think they didn't like that. But anyway, with that all being said, the VX was one of their last like really good IEMs. They're still like BA timbre and such, but this was actually a very nice sounding IEM for all the balanced armatures that were inside. And I don't even know. You know what? I'm not gonna take this all the way apart because you guys can see the balanced armatures inside. I'll grab the shell, the empty shell, so you can see how the drivers are loaded, instead of ripping this all out because that's gonna be a pain in the butt. So, so I keep all the guts from every IEM I've ever taken apart, and I have a lot of guts. I mean, I keep everything. But yeah, let me find the shells real quick. And I will show you guys the shells. There it is. Alright. Yeah, it's a deep box too. This is like all the way full. So this is the VX shell. And you can see there's like three different sections where sound comes out and goes into the nozzle. How can you contact me if you want to send me an IEM? You can email me. So I have an email address. It's contact at Hi-Fri or hi-fri.com. So contact at hi-fri.com. So like the little straight dash or whatever. I don't know what you call it, the smaller one. But anyway, yeah. So you can email me there, or find me on Facebook under the name Hi-Fri, or you could try Fry Hi hyphen. Yeah, thank you. But yeah, so you can try finding me on there. You can DM me. Sometimes it's hard to get a hold of me. I'm not a very social person, so a lot of times I just let a lot of messages go. And I'm also having issues with my notifications. I don't get messenger notifications for some reason. And also, if it's somebody that I don't know, it goes to a different inbox and I don't even see it. So there's a lot of people that message me that I have no idea that they've even messaged me. So anyway, it's just hit or miss. And I don't really respond to emails too much. But I mean, if you want to send me something to repair or take a look at or whatever, I might be interested. But I don't like accepting a lot of things from people, unless they're like friends of mine or I know them. It's just I don't like taking stuff from strangers. So anyway, but yeah, so this is the back of the shell. You can see. So we got one chamber for the dynamic driver. Whoops, which is pretty fascinating how they divided up the chambers. And then we got the two balanced armatures at the bottom there. And then we got just candied? Hell no, man. Not unless they have a van. If they have a van, then I'll definitely get some candy. But it's got to be a white van. It's got to be a big white van, and then I'll get the candy. I'll get all the candy, and you can't have any. But anyways, but yeah. So that's the shell. It looks pretty cool. it's like all CNC machined and stuff. It's kind of nice. So not bad. What else do we got? Did I show you guys? Yeah, I did do a video on this. I'm just gonna destroy this one real quick because this IEM sucks. Meze? Which Meze? Meze apparently has some cool drivers. There's apparently one that I can get on AliExpress for like 30 bucks. And it's apparently a Meze driver, but it's like a LCP kind of thing, but it's like I don't know how to explain it. The red TRN, it's the VX Pro, I believe. Yeah, I have my laptop's off right now just for noise sake, but I took graphs of the 900 and the 300, and they are both not very good. I mean, the 900 is okay, but it has no extension, and the 300 is just straight trash across the board. It is just peaks and valleys and giant roller coaster ride. Um, these are, and remember, folks, these are DIY. These are fake. These are not real. These are the fake ones. So, the real Sennheisers are obviously different. I'm sure they sound nice. I'm sure some of them sound pretty damn nice. But these are the fake trash clones meant to steal your money. And yeah, so hello YFS, how are you? XSL. Well, I think XSL isn't even a company. I think it's just that seller. And I think that they're just buying third-party IEMs and rebranding them. Because, like, I spoke to the manufacturer of the X1, and because they hit me up on Facebook, and they're like, hey, we made the X1, da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, oh, cool, glad to hear it. Like, and I talked to them a little bit about the tuning and stuff, and kind of explained to them because they didn't have any dampening on it. And so I kind of explained to them a little bit. And I didn't really talk about the Dark Magician because I didn't know that they had the same drivers at that point in time. But anyway, and so then XSL came out with the X0, and I said, hey, oh, I just bought your X0, and they said, oh, we didn't know, that's not us, we didn't make that, we made the X1. And I was like, oh, okay. I said, so it's like an OEM kind of thing. And she said, yeah, we're an OEM. We're not. They just buy our IEMs and then they have their name put onto it or whatever. So XSL is pretty much just that, like that seller. And oh, the Meze Ray Penta. What is it? Is it broken or something? The Meze Ray Penta is expensive. It's not a cheap IM. Yeah, the Hanadomi, yeah, basically they're like AliExpress sellers that buy essentially they buy OEM IEMs and they just turn around and resell them. So they might be like a cable manufacturer, they might know a cable manufacturer and like a case manufacturer. I mean, all you got to do is go to the Shenzhen market, go to one of those Shenzhen malls, or like online. And for people in China, it's super easy for you to literally just go to one company or one booth, say, hey, I'd like this IEM, and then go to another booth and say, hey, I'd like this case, and then go to another booth and say, hey, I'd like this cable, and go to another booth and say, hey, I'd like these ear tips. And I mean, you could easily whip up something and, turn around and sell it for, you know, 20, 30 bucks profit or whatever, just because you went to all these different manufacturers and gathered up the stuff and just kind of shuffled it into one cohesive presentation. But that's essentially what they're doing. But real quick, so this so this is the IE 300. I found this driver online. It's a 7mm. I forget the name of the company, but this is the same thing. This is like a company that just makes OEM spares. They don't make like good quality ones either. I forget the name, but anyway, these are expensive. These were like they wanted like, well, the seller wanted like $8 for these, or like $7 for these little 7 millimeters. But these things are like just the cheapest of the cheap TWS speakers that they fit into a shell that looks like the IE300. But in all reality, the real Sennheiser driver looks nothing like this. The real Sennheiser driver is much nicer looking. This is just a cheap, crappy OEM, driver made for like TWS or whatever. So, Hodor? Do I want to do Hodor? No, I'll do Hodor later. It's the same. It's the same exact thing as the Shure tape. It's pretty much the same thing as the Shure tape. If you didn't see the Shure tape, I have bits and pieces. Like, I'll just show you my desk right now. I got shards everywhere. It's like all over. So, what else do we got? KZ? Yeah, it's truly a graveyard in here. KZ. These are nice because they have 3-part shells. So I can literally go in here and just go boop, cut it, and then like peel it like it's an orange or like a piece of fruit, and just like peel the shell part. And then I can much more easily get to the drivers. Now this IEM sounded pretty good. I forget the name of this one. See if I can find it. Where is it? It's up here. What was this one? ZAR. So this was the ZAR. It's like a bigger brother, like a what is it? Oh shoot, I forget the. See, that's the other thing with KZ is they all have these stupid letter acronym things, like it's just 3 letters. Pick out 3 random letters, and it's impossible to remember all the names. It's because it's literally just 3 letters. Like, and it's always Z or X or R or S or F, and it's like, dude, just chat GPT it up and just like come up with a name. Like, names are so much more memorable than X R S S F F X S M M S X F. Like, yeah, just go on ChatGPT, man, and just like fucking like make a name. I noticed they started doing that recently. And it's funny because they're so stubborn, because I told them that a while back. I said, you guys need to make names. I said, you need to have names. I said, it's impossible to remember all these letters. You need to have names. People remember names. They don't remember letters and acronyms and stuff. And they were like, no. We've done our research and we found this is better. I'm like, bullshit. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You just don't want to admit that I'm right. Because people remember names. They don't remember other shit. If you just go on GPT or whatever, it just any name. You don't need to know the English language. You can just come up with any name, and if it sounds cool, just go on your Discord or your subreddit or your KZ group on Facebook or whatever, and say, hey, you guys like this name? Okay. Or give them a whole list and be like, what names do you like? And then they'll be like, I like this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. You say, okay, thank you. And then for your next, 10 IEMs or whatever, you just, boom, done. That's it. Now you don't have to name your IEMs for like 2 more months. That's a joke because KZ releases so many IEMs. It's literally like every 2 weeks. And Tyven messaged me. I haven't messaged him back yet, but he said, hey, are you busy? Like, how's your schedule? Uh, I just, dude, like, they started sending me stuff without even like saying anything to me. They would just like send me IEMs like without even messaging me or nothing, which is fine. But like they send I mean, there's so many IEMs, dude. It's like I don't want to be the KZ channel. I don't want to just like do KZ reviews. So half of the stuff that I get from KZ, I don't even talk about. I literally, for the most part, just talk about the stuff that I like. Except for recently, I had so many IEMs that I didn't like that I started talking about the ones that I didn't like too. Um, and it kind of sucks. Like I don't want to trash them or be negative, but if they're gonna send it to me, I gotta give my honest opinion. And I've disagreed with quite a few people. There's quite a few people that liked Krilla, but I'm still in the camp that it's not great. Oh, that's weird. Look at that little ring on top. That's new. Look at that. It's like 3/4 of a ring. So weird. I don't know. That really pissed me off. They're like kilobuck, like, oh, it's kilobuck perform. I'm like, dude, don't do that. That is not the way to market your product. It's value. Oh, it's valued at $1,000. That's like so chavadora, dude. Like, fucking let your product speak for itself. Don't fucking half-ass it and try to earn more sales by going like, yeah, its sound is worth $1,000. We're so proud of it that you'll agree it beats all these other earphones. And no, just let people's ears do the listening, and let the reviewers do the talking. If they like it, they'll tell you they'll like it. I even told KZ too. I said, look, I said, if you guys need any help with prototypes, I said, send me some prototypes. I'll listen to them. I'll see if I can make any adjustments to the tuning, and I'll try to help you guys out. And they brought up like a collaboration once that was forgotten. There's actually been a lot of companies that I've talked about collaborating, but it's just never really worked out, either due to like language boundaries or just me not being able to give them like a sufficient prototype. Um, but anyway, but yeah, I told him that I would help him out, and I didn't hear anything back after that. So it's like, do what you want, but if your brand goes down in flames because you trash your reputation, I can't really do anything to help you. Yeah, and that's the thing. By the time I receive any prototypes, they're already gonna have like 4 more IEMs out in the market. It's just like insane how quickly they release IEMs. And sadly to say, same thing with CVJ. I'm not burnt out on CVJ though. So I hope they kind of release their latest IEM and kind of take a break for a little bit, to let people enjoy them and like talk about them and stuff. But it's like I hate to say it, man, but this industry, it's all these like companies, they don't stop, man. They're I think it's because the market is too small and the profit margins are pretty high. So they're all fighting each other for our business. So it's like every week, every week, every week there's got to be a new IEM or like a new hype cycle. And it's like, bro, like we don't need that. Like you guys need to slow down. Like I honestly wish that a lot of these companies would go out of business so that we would have less releases, so that way I could take like a couple weeks and be like, hey, talk to people in the forums and be like, oh well, I like this about my IM, and I found that when I do this, I like the way this sounds. And people can kind of like share and enjoy in it, instead of it always being like, oh my god, this new thing came out, hype, 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 hype. It was okay. It was kind of disappointing. Okay, never talk about it again. All right, this new thing's coming out. Hype, 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 hype. Okay, it was all right. Never talk about it again. Oh, this new thing's coming out. Hype, 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 hype. It's like literally, dude, that's all I hear. Sorry, my voice is really going out. But it's just annoying, dude. It's getting so annoying. So I've been like trying to stick to my own thing. I'll be friendly with some of these companies and I'll review their products, but it's too much. It's too much, too fast. I don't like this whole like consumer behavior where it's just constantly newer, better, newer, better. The thing that gets me excited is the technology. When companies try something different, anyway. But these companies, man, they're just like fighting tooth and nail to pull every dollar you have out of your pocket. And that's when I see companies like Geek World or Geek World, charging $350 for an IEM when they have no established history. And, they went from two two failed IEMs to like one decent IEM, the GK10 or whatever it was, whatever it was, to the GK100 and then the GK200, and they charge 250 and 350 bucks, and then they like have these like cheaper kind of like 3D printed shells, but then they go all out and have include a tack cable with the IEM. Like if you've seen the drivers they use, they're not they're no different than like KZ or TRN or CVJ or half these companies. There's only like four or five major component manufacturers, but they're charging like 250 and $350 for a piece of plastic that charge them or that cost them like 50 bucks to make. So I don't know. But then you have other companies, where they're very fair, very reasonable. This I couldn't I couldn't see CVJ making very much money off of this IM, considering street price. Now I know street price is like super inflated, but these drivers alone, the seller wanted like 10 bucks, 20 bucks for a pair of just the bone conduction drivers, and you're talking about the bone conduction, the dynamic, the tweeter, the switches, the yeah, and don't get me wrong. So like the GK100 is good. They're not bad IMs. But what I'm saying is you have a company with very little history, a very small track record of good releases, and then they go out and they betray their initial customers by releasing an IM that's several times more expensive than the one that came out previously. And like I said, I don't know 100% for fact because I haven't opened up the GK100. I've only gone off their drawings and the stuff that they have shown. But I'm telling you, the difference in components does not justify the difference in price. And instead of going balls to the wall and including a tack cable or whatever, a $150 cable with your IM, include a cheaper one. You want to sell more units and get more units into the hands of more people so more people can review it. But when you cut off certain areas, like, and you segment your market like that, you're just gonna piss off your fans. Like I was one of the first fans of the GK10 when it came out. I was like ranting and raving about it because it was a bunch of new technology and I thought it was really cool. And the pair I had actually sounded really good, but apparently there was really bad like QC consistency or QA. There were lots of variation in tuning and drivers and all kinds of stuff. And that just goes to show that it's a inexperienced company. They're unknown name. They didn't even spell their name right. Like it's not even spelled right. It's WOLD. Like fix your name, rebrand, and then maybe charge 250 $350 for your IEMs. Like I don't know. It's just ridiculous. It's like, and here I am, like, trying to hand make something, and I'm charging 75 $85 with shipping because I don't want to be unreasonable to people. Like, I don't know. It's just, you gotta kind of like establish your reputation first as a company, and don't bite your fans or don't like, you know what I mean? Like if you're going to release the $250 and $350 IEM, then make sure you release another $50 or $100 IEM. But there's nothing since the GK10. You know, take the GK100 and GK200, cut it in half, and sell it for, $50 or $80 or $100, and sell that to your fans, because the people who bought your GK10, half of them aren't the same people that are going to buy your GK100 or 200, because you're charging 5 times more or 3 times more. I don't know. Anyway, there's all kinds of stuff as far as like business practices that I'm not a fan of. Some companies, they get a little taste of money and then they get really greedy, and they think they deserve your money, off having no reputation or whatever. But then you have companies with like a solid track record, and it takes, one product to completely destroy their reputation, whether them being lazy or whatever, or just not caring, or not having good service. I've heard horror stories of people trying to get service on their IEMs. But you want to hear something funny? So, AudioSense, I've heard so many people tell me that they've had no issues whatsoever getting these IEMs replaced, or fixed or whatever. I've had people who have had issues with them, and they just message them and say, "Hey, man, look, here's the issue, da 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 da." And AudioSense, they might have been, well, can you kind of show us some proof or whatever? Because obviously you don't want to get taken advantage of by customers who are lying. But dude, I've heard nothing but awesome stories. People saying, "Yeah, man, I had an issue, and they immediately replaced it, and they sent it out free of charge, and I didn't have to send anything back, and da 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 da." And like companies like this, like, don't get talked about as much as, other companies that may, you go to them and say, "Hey, my IEM's messed up, what can you do about it?" And they say nothing. That you bought it, just buy another one, or whatever. You got to send it back to China, but you have to pay the shipping. And it's like, what? Like, why would I have to pay to ship it all the way back to you? Anyway. Sorry, guys. My voice is going out. But yeah, that's my rant over. So if you guys see me like disappear from IEMs for a little while, and I'm kind of like just working on my own thing, it's just because I'm kind of fed up with the industry. There's some companies, that like I said, I'll be friendly with, and I'll deal with, and I'll happily plug their products if it's a good product, or if I think it's good. But for the most part, I'm just not interested in IEMs like I used to be. I used to be like balls to the wall, like obsessed about them. But things were different just like 2 or 3 years ago. It's like not even the same anymore. Yeah, like most people would rather take the loss, and even like, like some of my reviewer friends, like I've had reviewer friends who have had to straight up fight with companies to get replacements on their IEMs. And it's like, dude, are you serious? Like you're gonna argue with a reviewer? But like the problem is, some of these same reviewer friends, they'll never say a bad word about an IEM. They'll never, everything's always great, everything's cool, everything's nice, because they don't want to stop the flow of samples coming in. Because if you say one bad word about a manufacturer, you might not get any more samples from them, you know? Like, and it's sad, but that's the case. So a lot of times you're not even going to hear about stuff, because anybody that's saying the truth, if they're talking about a product in an honest way, and the company doesn't like it, then it's boom, privilege revoked, and now you got to buy all your IEMs. That's why I don't talk about a lot of IEMs, because either manufacturers are scared, they don't want to send me stuff because I take it apart. Also, I kind of take my time with my reviews. So it's like if you spend too long without reviewing it, they consider the hype cycle dead, and they don't really want to send you anything because you take too long. They want you to cover it really fast. And then the other thing is, like I said, if you say a bad word, then they don't want to deal with you because you said something bad or whatever, or they felt like they didn't get enough out of you. You know, it's that kind of stuff. So yeah, well, Moondrop's hard enough to even get into their list. You know, there are several companies that have reviewers that they like to deal with, and they will only deal with those reviewers. I mean, I've had a lot of love for like Truthier, for example, because they offer good, affordable products to people. I mean, they're the ones that collaborated with Kryn on the Project Red. They did Zero. They did Hexa. They did Ola. You know, I would love it if they would send me samples, but I've never heard a word from them. And apparently, like Shenzhen Audio is really really hard to get any kind of review samples out of unless you're a bigger reviewer, which is fine. You know, people can choose to do business with whoever they want to, um, and the product speaks for itself. So I mean, if it's hype, it's hype, and if it sounds good, it's going to last. So I don't mind like supporting them and giving them money. Like I bought the Kanoka. I bought this with my own money, and CBJ was like, "Oh, we would have just sent you one." And I said, "No." I said, I wanted to support you because I like what you've been doing, and I I want to support you because you're doing something different, and I kind of like where your company's going. So I'm going to take some of my money and I'm going to buy one of your products. And they're like, "Oh, okay, well that's cool." They're like, "Thanks, but you didn't have to do that." Um, but it's a whole world of give and take or whatever. But yeah, there's some companies that are just absolutely abusive. Um, and that's in any industry. That's not just in IEMs. That's in the whole reviewer space, where companies will just if you have one word they don't like to hear come out of your mouth, they will never deal with you again. They'll never talk to you again. Um, even if it's the truth or whatever. Uh, it is what it is. And as far as like the reviews for payment or whatever for like KZ, they never offered to pay me, but they did offer to hook me up with some testing equipment. But I didn't really like the way they approached me about it. The way they made it sound like was like I would be reviewing exclusively KZ IEMs. Um, and I understand that's the test equipment is really expensive. Um, but I ended up just saying no to it because that's basically kind of like pay for play kind of thing. And if I were to say anything bad about their products, they could say, "Well, we sent you, this test equipment or whatever, and now you're saying bad things about the company." Like, you never want to give a company leverage over you. But sadly, there's a lot of reviewers who let companies get all kinds of leverage on them. And, it's just, I mean, just all you got to do is look at their channel and see, watch a few of their videos. And if they don't have any criticisms, outright criticisms or whatever in any of their videos, then you know that they're a shill. Um, and sadly, there are some people like that. But you also get some people that they just choose not to talk about the shitty stuff, and I do the same thing. I'm guilty of it as well. Where I won't, if I get something that sounds bad, I won't talk about it. Like, I'll just hang it up on the wall. I might take some pictures or whatever, when everybody's hyped about it, and just kind of like share, be like, "Oh look, yeah, I got one," and then I'll just be like, "Eh." I might make a post on Facebook and say, "Yeah, it's not great. It's okay." And then I'll just never talk about it again. And unfortunately, you know, it's it's I look at it two ways. It's not worth your time and attention to talk about something that sucks. Um, but then again, you're also kind of doing other people a disservice because, you know, people vote with their wallets, and if you don't say anything about it, then people are most likely going to be unaware of if something is worth the money or not. And unless you say something, you know, they might accidentally spend money on something that is garbage, and that would suck, you know. You just don't want people wasting money on useless stuff. Man, I just been fucking up drivers all night tonight. So this is that 12mm planar. This is the second or third time that I've taken it out of the shell. This is from Rosefinch. These sound really, really bad. These are like seriously bad IEMs. But yeah, this is not necessarily a bad driver. So I had this little, come on, focus. So I had this little 3D printed, well, not 3D printed. This is, I molded it by hand, but it's 3D printer resin. So I put this like inside the shell to kind of form a chamber with the driver. And anyway, I was trying to change the tuning, and I just kind of gave up. I realized that it was going to take a lot of time and effort for me to really retune these, even though they're like a really, really cheap planar. I mean, it's like 50 bucks for these 12mm planars, like with the shell and everything. So if it was possible to retune them, well, I mean, this would have been a killer deal to retune these, you know, because that's along the price of like PR2 or whatever. But yeah, man, I mean, there's nothing can touch KZ when it comes to budget planar. I mean, KZ's got it on lock, but they're one of the few companies that can afford to put all that money and R&D into making their own drivers. But yeah, if you haven't heard the PR1 or PR2, and you want a cheap planar, I mean, you cannot go wrong. There are some caveats, of course, but I mean, Casey is bad blood pressure for you. Yeah, nah, that's alright. I don't talk about them very often. But yeah, it's hey, Hi-Dis. Oh my god. So the Hi-Dis, what is it, M145 or whatever? They just announced it not too long ago. The early bird price is like 109. But like, I don't know what the normal price is, but they look pretty decent for like 100-ish bucks. And I don't know if, you know, my friends were just kind of like hype about it, or if it's really gonna have that lasting power. But from what I've seen on Facebook, a lot of people really enjoyed listening to them. So I have high hopes for the Hi-Dis M145. It looks nice. Apparently, all not all, but a part of the proceeds goes towards like oceanic conservation of like dolphins and whales and aquatic mammals and stuff like that, which is kind of cool. So so I'm definitely curious about them. What are you doing, dude? Hey, where you going? You're not gonna come say hi? What are you doing under there? What are you doing? Are you just gonna lay there? She's preggers. She's really preggers. Her belly's fat. She's a fatty, for sure. She's such an awesome cat, man. She's really awesome. Unfortunately, the person that was gonna adopt her kind of fell through, so I will have to find another home. But I'm going to hang on to her until she has the babies. She's I don't know how much longer she has, but her belly's getting really big. So, and she's been kind of like trying to find places to kind of like nest in the room. So we should have some little babies here soon. But she's awesome. She's really, really nice cat. Very well behaved. So No fleas or nothing either, and I like literally just found her off the street. So, but anyway, guys, I'm gonna get going. My phone is down to 10%, and I'm dying of heat exhaustion in here. So we do have a few more drivers to take apart. What driver's in the fake Sennheiser? It is biofiber. Here, I'll take it apart real quick because this shouldn't take me too long. Or maybe I won't. It's basically a biofiber driver. Ah, shit. Yeah, I probably won't be able to take this apart. Maybe I will. We'll see. This will be the last one. Yeah, biofiber driver. So like cotton or wool or wood or something like that. Oh, shit. I forgot these are really freaking hard to open. Where my thing at? Where my thing? Well, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, cellulose. Yeah. There's all kinds of stuff. So I've seen wool. I've seen carbon, like actual carbon fibers. I've seen like that green kind of air filter material that you see like in air filters for like your house. I've seen all kinds of weird stuff inside them. I've seen like denim, like you'd find in like jeans. You know, there's like blue fibers, green fibers, red fibers, white fibers, black fibers. Oh yeah, yeah, man. That's another thing that sucks about the IE series is you cannot you cannot buy a used one on eBay because most likely it'll be a fake. Um, you have to make sure that it's a reputable seller, and even then, you still might get stuck with a fake. That's the shitty part about having so many blatant copies out, because anybody could easily buy them off of AliExpress and then turn around and sell them on eBay, saying they're legit for like, you know, fucking couple $100 more or whatever than they paid for them. Because I mean, a lot of these clones you can just get for like 50, $60, you know, less than 100, maybe 100, depending on which model it is. But yeah, so this is another OEM driver. If I can remove the PCB, kind of show you guys, because they don't look the same without the PCB on there. So that's kind of what it looks like. So there's what the... No, the X3R actually isn't the driver itself. The X3R is in reference to the nozzle shape. I don't know why they use that terminology for the drivers, but at least what I understand is the X3R technology is the actual nozzle. So I think when they say X3R, they mean it's meant or it's compatible with that type of shape or whatever. But yeah, there's lots of tuning material, at least on this fake. And then you can see the biofiber. But yeah, these are like $10 speakers. They're not bad, but they're not good for being in a IE 900 clone. They definitely could have, should have, would have used something different. So sorry, I've just been mutilating these drivers today. Come on. There we go. So that's the biofiber, and you can see what I mean by fiber. there are literal fibers in there. So, but yeah, this is definitely not Sennheiser. Sennheisers, if you want to see a Sennheiser driver, go find yourself like a pair of Momentum 2 or Momentum Wireless, and you'll see the difference in drivers. They don't look anything like these. First off, the Sennheiser drivers are in a black plastic chassis. So, it's pretty usual looking to me. I mean, to you it might be unusual, but this is just a standard. I mean, I could even show you which driver this is on like AliExpress or whatever, because I have thousands of these drivers saved. But yeah, I mean that's like a, I don't know, that's like a $10 pair of drivers, like street price. They're not even expensive. It's like a 7 point something. It's like not quite 8 millimeters. It's like 7.9 or 7 something. But come on. Sorry, I'm trying to see how much battery I have left, but my screen's half broken. Anyway, I'm gonna go, guys. I will catch you later. I hope you all have a wonderful evening. This is all the IEM guts left everywhere. They're all over the place. They're all over my table. So, but it was fun. It was cool hanging out with you guys. It was cool talking to you for a little bit. But yeah, we'll have to do it again. I got this whole, where is it at? I got this whole box here of IEMs. These are all like circa 2019, 2020 or whatever. I got a bunch of random like KZs and CVJs and stuff in here. So maybe we'll come back. We'll take some of those apart. I have a bunch of IEMs up here, but most of these are going to be for a giveaway. So when we hit 5K, I'll be doing a IEM giveaway. I'll be giving away 5 IEMs. So tell your friends to subscribe. If you know anybody who wants to subscribe, or you just want to get us up to 5K so you can enter the contest, I'll be giving away. I got a bunch of stuff. Like I said, I got the orchestra light. I got LAN. I got a bunch of other IEMs sitting over there. I got all kinds of stuff that'll be given away. I'll be giving away a pair of AFAX. But yeah, so if you guys want, definitely subscribe. And as soon as we get to 5K, then we'll do a giveaway, and I'll get you guys all the details on that stuff. So, but anyway, thank you so much for joining me. I do appreciate your time. I hope you guys have a great Sunday, and everybody stay safe out there. Have a blessed day, and I will see you in the next review, which will probably end up being the Duo, because I really want to take a look at these. So anyway, guys, see you later. Bye, bye, bye. Have a good night. If I can close the stream. There we go.